Well, folks, in case you're wondering here, we've decided we're going to do a podcast here at the end of week one.
Not we, Andy G, our head statistician and director of videotaping inside of this, not Suds. Let's make that clear.
Yeah, he doesn't want anything to do with this, which is his fault. He can go ahead and drive, see if I care.
But Andy does, as he's part of the BOG, he does a lot of stat work for us, he does the color commenting, he has sort of the creativity leeway here. This is one area where I'll basically let Andy do what he wants to do.
I mean, come on, it's another way to just talk about how we went through the day.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But just don't say it was my idea, because it was not my idea.
Yeah, he basically...
If it fails, it's on you. If it's on me. That's how it works.
Of course.
It's how it works.
He basically pulled it. He basically pulled the Tonto here. What you mean, we white man? So we're doing this so that everybody can catch up on all 7 games. That was my idea, basically.
Which is actually a good idea. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And let people know the fact that I'm driving the car, not Andy, so
yes.
we're legal.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this on YouTube and Montgomery County police officer watch this, we're legal. Seatbelt strapped on. Everything's legal. Yeah, absolutely.
You can see. You notice I turn to my right. You can see out the side window. That means I'm shotgun right now. So
and if we get carjacked here, we have it on videotape, by the way.
Hey, all the better. As we just sort of pull off to a 7-Eleven. This is going to be a little bit of an intro here, what we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to go in, we're going to get something to eat and drink, and we'll be back as soon as we have refueled.
We'll be right back in the business in 2 and 2.
There we go. Well, folks, as the 7-Eleven is in our rearview mirror, or side mirror.
Thankfully, it's a rearview mirror because
we're in Tacoma Park, folks.
Yeah, well, look, Tacoma Park. Some parts of it are pretty good about that, but the 7-Eleven here, there was this guy out there who didn't exactly tickle our fancies, so to speak, out there. So.
Yeah, we had like a panhandler or something. I mean, yeah, he's like,
hey, 5 more weeks of this, we are at Rockville Sportsplex, the luscious, spacious, gorgeous, mall-like Rockville Sportsplex.
Hey, don't hype it up too much. People won't show up for the other 5 weeks.
Well, they are going to because they've already paid for the commitment out there.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, what do we care? We have their money.
No. We don't have the money. We have some of our money back that I've already paid to come apart.
Alrighty. So now the reason that I decided to do this basically was so we could talk about the games. So let's start talking about the games. Our opening game featured 2 new teams. It featured the Jacks against the Majors.
2 Jacks, no Coke is what I officially call them.
Yeah.
It's a nickname that actually kind of played off of a team that plays a different league called Jack and Cokes. So I decided to basically make a little fun of them and call our team here 2 Jacks, no Coke. More of the heavy alcohol side of here.
Now, you realize, by the way, that that's a joke that maybe 2 people on the internet.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what? That's okay. We have a team now that's based upon inebriation, so to speak, out there. So, we've got a little of everything in this league overall.
Now, hang on, wasn't Blood Red based on inebriation back in the day?
No, I don't think so. Maybe
Are you sure about that?
I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. Because that team probably they spend half the time at games, half the time at AA meetings.
Exactly.
So,
and we've also had, we've also had a drinking scandal in this league, I should point out.
Yeah, which we want to, definitely, a couple of our players, unfortunately, were irresponsible and drank on the area they shouldn't have drank at. And in fact, I want to make sure people understand this. We do not allow drinking in our league on any place whatsoever, unless it's at a bar. It's licensed to drink out there. What you do in your own place and time is one thing, but when you're in a league setting, we are absolutely zero tolerance on alcohol policy.
Yeah, for example, Suds Heroes is about 5 drinks from the featured game that we did.
Yes. Well, let's get back to the point here. The point being,
we had a point?
Yeah, the game we talked about, the 2 Jacks and the Coke versus
the 5-minute Majors, who appear to be a team that's been ported over wholesale from they seem to have better chemistry.
Well, David, who was the captain of 5-minute Majors, played a couple of games last season for Blood Red, and he told me that, hey, I want to try this thing out, and maybe I want to have my own team. So he put on Blood Red, he played well, and he felt pretty confident. In fact, he lobbied to go pro this season, and if we had played over at St. Albans, it was a very strong possibility he would have been a pro team. He would have been the 10th pro team. But here, with the structure we have out there, with the teams we have out here so far, he's one of the top ranked teams out there overall. He felt pretty confident they could compete here, and they showed it. They showed they've been playing before. They had chemistry, they had talent, and they actually played pretty well, and they beat a pretty persistent, but it's a new team.
Yeah, a bit of an overwhelmed Jack's team. Now, bear in mind, the score is only 4-2, and you would have expected it to be a little more lopsided.
Yeah, I thought Jack's doing pretty well for the team they have out there. They'll get better and better as the season progresses out there. I do want to give a shout out to Chrissy from Jack and Coke, the team captain, who I thought had a heck of a game, had scored both their goals.
Yep.
So she's going to be a future star at DCHL.
And on top of that, there was the play of the game by Phil on the Jack's team to set up that second goal that she had, I thought.
Yes, you had a great centering pass pass, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, and it was after he took a couple of shots of his own.
Yeah,
he finally said that. He finally said, "The heck with that! Somebody else take this shot." And as we all know,
She cleaned up the garbage, right?
yeah, as we all know, Phil isn't capable of scoring on his own.
Oh, well, now let's be honest. Phil is the captain of my Bears. You know, my favorite team, and the team I used to play for. They're my favorite team, obviously, overall. Phil has a history of actually, losing his balance in certain spots and falling down in games. And but
in fact, you can set your watch by it.
well, the Bears are a great team, and Phil actually has gotten better and better. And really, right now, Phil has now become a true scorer.
All right, now. That game we kind of expected was going to be a little different. The game that caught all of us off guard, I think, or at least caught me off guard. Now you seem to know these teams better, so go ahead. Was the second game. We had Funkmaster Redux coming in. Funkmaster is back-to-back Final Four teams.
Correct.
So they're not pushovers.
Correct.
And the Cobra Kai Dojo seemed to me, at least, when I was watching this game, they seemed to be basically run all their offense through one player. But what a player! I mean, wow!
And he was, correct me, obviously I was doing admin stuff out there, but what that player's name is?
That player was Mike.
Mike. Okay,
yes.
Mike. How many goals did he have?
He had 5 of their 6 goals in a 6-3 win.
Wow, and they only, how many shots did they have, do you recall?
They only had 27. I mean, they were able to take it to the Funk goalie. I believe it was Jordan still in net?
Yeah, Jordan was still in net. Now, the question I have is, I know that the Funkmaster thoroughly outshot Cobra Kai.
Oh, they did, yeah.
And the Cobra Kai goalie, who I'm told isn't even the #1 goalie, was outstanding in nets.
He had a fantastic day, and
now, was the shot on goal margin indicative of the play type? Do you think Cobra Kai outplayed Funkmaster, or was the situation where the shots on goal wasn't as disparaging as we think?
The shots on goal didn't tell the right story.
Okay.
The Cobra Kai were playing a counter-attacking game, from what I saw.
Got it.
And they were absorbing pressure. They'd let Ryan make the saves. They would absorb the pressure, and Mike would just sort of wait, and he'd wait until he got that odd man rush, and then he'd run with it.
Got it. Understood.
So that's kind of how I think it was going there.
So was the Cobra Kai the better team?
I think you can make the argument they were, yeah. They had better shooters, and that's kind of a scary thing to say. But I mean, let's be honest here, beyond Keith, they don't really have the snipers they need.
Yeah, I mean, they have Simon who can be a scorer, but he goes through a lot of hot and cold streaks out there.
Yeah, and Simon's best as a facilitator, I think. That's how he's been. That's how he's been in St. Albans. That's how he was this year at Annandale. So I think that's probably his best role right now.
And that give credit to Funkmaster. Keith plays defense there as well too. He scores goals, and that team just has this great chemistry. Again, people may say that I am disrespecting them, but I think they always overachieve. They have a lot of good players, not great players, but some of the parts that they have out there, they always do well. It's a good, very well coached, disciplined team out there. Individually, they may not be superstars, but as a team, they're better than the individuals overall.
Absolutely. They know they have the chemistry that has helped. And they got off to a slow start in this league. Let's be honest here. They got off to a very slow start in this league, and since then they have been on fire.
Absolutely, and that was one of the upsets. I mean, I know Cobra Kai would do well, but I wouldn't have picked them to beat Funk. But especially first game, new venue, new team. There's growing pains out there. Vegas Suns would have been hard pressed to pick Cobra Kai, but it's somewhat surprising. It's not shocking, but it's a surprising result.
Yes.
Now, Game 3.
Game 3. This one looked like it was going to be a blowout for most of the game. The Scorpions started off on a 4-0 run, actually 5-0, because I want to give credit here for the goal of the day. Scott Fairchild takes the face-off, recovers it on his own, fires from half court, and 7 seconds into the second period, and it would have been even faster except we had a false start on the drop.
Wow.
7 seconds into the second period, he puts the Scorpions up 5-0 on, I guess they're going to be called the Triple Deeks, but it was a bunch of Triple Deeks merging with License to Thrill, at least for this intermezzo.
We call them Triple Deeks Plus, because it was mostly Triple Deeks with a couple of Blood Red players sprinkled in, with a couple of License to Thrill players sprinkled in, so we call them officially TD Plus in this case.
Let's just call them Triple Deeks, it's a lot faster.
Now, so basically at that moment in time when Scott got the goal, it was 5-0.
That's right.
For all intents and purposes, that game was over, blowout.
We thought it was done.
Put the kids to bed, it's over, right?
We thought it was done, but
apparently not.
Yeah, let's give the Deeks a lot of credit here. Tom Marciano recovered very nicely, and everything was going strong. Roderick seemed to fade in the third period, and at the very end, also, much love to Chris Winkler, who had a hat trick for the Triple Deeks.
Chris Winkler had a hat trick. Wow.
Yes, he did, and that was really
good for him.
He really powered out in their comeback. That's why it ended 6-5, the final.
And so basically,
No, the Scorpions
basically held on life and death.
They survived. They survived this game, and I didn't think they would have to survive this game.
All right, so that game went the books in a kind of a shocking up and down flow of that game. Game number 4.
We're on 4 now.
Correct. 4 of 7, and that game featured what? It was the Scabs, am I correct?
It was the Scabs against the Street Sharks.
And by the way, just for the records out there, Commissioner Suggs, if you want to call it GM Suggs, had listed the Sharks as the number 2 overall seed in the rec. Burns were number 1, Sharks number 2, but the Sharks were the number 1 seed in their own division. So this game featured the number 1 team going against a number 3 or 4 team in the opposite direction. So if you could probably be a lopsided Street Sharks win.
And it was lopsided, just not the way we thought.
Wow, I mean, Scabs,
and it was
4 goals, right?
Scabs were on fire. They've found players. I don't know where you found Richard or Joe or Francois, but they're not the Scabs we knew.
And there are new players from a DCHL meetup.com group that our friends...
Cheap plug.
Cheap plug, yeah. If you want to play, always go to DCHL meetup.com or Facebook or email DCHL email commissioner, and we'll get you on board. But they came from DCHL meetup.com group. 3 players, Joe, Richard, and the guy who had the hat-trick, if I recall correctly.
He did indeed.
Francois, who actually emailed me last week saying he wants to play floor hockey. And we know I speak French, he speaks French. We kind of joke back and forth with French out there. And lo and behold, he definitely lived up to his French heritage, Canadian heritage. He had a hat trick today.
And it was 4-0 after 2 periods, and we thought, wow, what is happening here? How are the Scabs doing this? And it turned out they were wondering the same thing.
Oh, wow.
They just lost a step in the 3rd period. You ask them, that's what they'll say. The Street Sharks poured it on. Suddenly, with 6 minutes to go, it's 4-3. And the Sharks are just throwing everything in the kitchen sink at John Robs, and he held on. For the 2nd time, 39 saves out of 42 led to a win.
Wow, awesome. So basically, again, I didn't watch all the games because I was doing admin work back there with the new teams and registration, but in your opinion, was it more of the Scabs getting tired, or was it more of the Sharks, combination of both, or the Sharks just coming back and finding their game?
Well, it was a bit of a combination of both. I think the Scabs themselves, you asked John what happened, he said that the team lost a step in the 3rd period.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a case of looking inward, because I thought it was more that the Sharks finally woke up and realized, hey, we're the Sharks. What are we doing here?
Yeah, we're supposed to win this game here. So again, another great game that it was a slight upset, you know?
It was,
Scabs beat the Street Sharks.
And then the next 2 games were very, I don't want to say they were lopsided because that's not fair, but the better thing to say about them is that they were rather abundant.
Well, I didn't see both games, most of the games.
Now, here's a little disclosure here.
Sure.
I did not see the game between the Blue Barracudas and the NWO, and I played in the game between the Afterburners and the Babylon Warriors. So I'm not the person to ask about either of those games. That said, you can ask me about the Afterburners game. You just probably won't get an objective answer.
Exactly. Well, let me go back. The first game.
So let's start with Blue Barracudas and NWO. You saw that, so you tell me all about it.
Absolutely. Blue Barracudas jumped on the NWO pretty early. Got I believe 2 goals, or I think it was 2-0. I think it was 2-0 at one point, maybe 3-0 at one point. And they were up early. NWO found their legs. They got a couple of good goals. They actually tied up at 3, if I recall correctly. I believe it was tied up at 3. And then it was just the Blue Barracuda shoot from there on. They just poured it on. They pulled away. Shots on goal from everywhere. They dominated the last second period and 3rd period, and they scored the last 6 goals to win 9-3.
And now
the other game.
Now this game was just, I don't think anybody would have called this. First off,
I would have called this one.
Well, you may have called the win, and you may have called how it was going to turn out, but I mean, this game, if you took the over, you really collected.
That's a very good point. With Scott McCurry in goal, who I keep saying, and Scott keeps telling me, please shut up, Sons, because because you're jinxing me. I'm superstitious. And Scott's a very gracious person as well too. He may not be the best goalie in the league anymore because we have a couple of new goalies who played outstanding today, and they're going to be probably in the same category boat as Scott is. But the bottom line is, he is the best goalie come into today, and with any game with Scott involved, you would think that it'd be a 3-2, 2-1, 3-0 type of game. But no, it was a 18-goal affair. And if you take the over, it was probably over 5 times over. How about that?
And now let's talk about how this game. Now the first goal, the Babylon Warriors were able to get a 2-on-1 break, but then the Afterburners just took over in the rest of the first period. It was
correct.
5-1 at intermission.
And then there was a little lull when the Burners kind of let the Babylon Warriors come back. The Babylon actually played well for a lull there. They battled back to. Was it a tie game or was it one goal?
It was 7-6.
It was
at one point in the third.
Goal,
at one point in the third period, it was 7-6.
They battled back to 7-6. Then the accelerator to the pedal to the metal.
Yep.
Pulling them in the stretch.
And you had players like Greg Parisi, you had players like Pat Sedju, CJ LaDuca, absolutely just took over that game. Bill Goldman had 2 goals where he just basically waited and waited, was in the right place. People found him and he knocked it in. He couldn't have missed from where he was.
So basically, again, this is I'm giving you some inside scoop here.
Please do.
When the commissioner sets the division up, he tries to balance the division out. The Burners were number 1 in this division. Number 2 seed was the Babylon Warriors. This was supposed to be the top 2 teams in this division. As it turned out, it really wasn't that competitive game.
And that's kind of a scary thought, really.
Well, the Burners are a pro, let's be honest with you. The Burners are a pro team if all their players show up, are on time, and are playing, which is always 50-50 at best.
Right. Now, remember, the last time this happened, now, let's go back to the playoffs in last season. This is a game that we weren't able to get taped, but really we should have because it might be the best game in DCHL history. And I say that because I was part of it, but it was the Chiefs and the Afterburners playing for a promotion spot. Now, what you have to realize, for those of you outside of this league, the Chiefs and the Burners were now in their 4th game that they've played. And the first
bitter rivals.
And the first 3 games, they proved they didn't like each other.
Absolutely.
And they were 1-1-1 in the series, entering this probably the biggest game that they had played against each other. And both teams just brought a lot of physical play, a lot of shutdown defense. It was a hockey purist dream, really, I think. And it wound up with the Chiefs winning 1-0. The only 1-0 game in DCHL history, at least with the 4x6 nets, maybe even ever.
You know what, I have to go back and check. You could be right about that. The one thing I will say is the fact that, I don't condone physical play. I'm not sure if it was physical play. It's outscored intense. Intense is probably a better word.
Well, that might be a better word, yeah.
I think it was physical. It was more intense. And it was a great game that came down to, I don't know how the goal was scored that Scott gave up, but...
It was a power play goal by Paul Feinstein, who was the best player in the rec division last season, let's be honest here.
Yes, he's super strong as well, too. So, one of those games where, someone had to lose, unfortunately, it was a great game overall.
Yes.
Now, with that said, this game here, the Burners may be the best team in the rec division by far because they have guys, veterans like Pat Sedju, Greg, CJ, Bill Nardi. I'm sorry, Bill Goldman, not Bill Nardi.
Yeah.
Andy is a great two-way player. Jessica Proven, female player. Leanne was there as well, too. Of course, the best goal in the league, Scott McCurry. This team really is a pro team, top 4 pro team. So they're probably going to be the huge favorites to win the rec division title.
Well, that would be nice. That would be nice to do.
The rec championship title, actually.
Well, then we'll see if that happens.
Now, game number 6.
No, that was game number 6.
Correct.
Game number 7, the last game. Now, if you click elsewhere on YouTube, I'm sure we have a link, right down about here. Just look for it. And it was a game between the newly rechristened Evil Empire, formerly known as Pravda, and the Ducks, who wound up stealing the rec division title last season, I thought, because really, if you look at the Chiefs-Ducks game, that was something I thought would be a lot closer, but Matt Fucina, the Chiefs goalie, everything he did right against the Afterburners,
he did wrong.
He did wrong against the Ducks.
He had one of those games where he couldn't stop a cold if he wanted to. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, he couldn't stop. He couldn't stop the conversation, and but that was unfortunate. Hello, buddy. I've got your license plate on camera.
Yeah, he basically cut me off, and the guy next to me was going 50 miles an hour in the second lane. So, you got a guy passing me at 75, and a guy cutting me off 50 miles an hour. That's what you have in Virginia driving, folks. Nothing against Virginians, but that's what you have out in the Beltway sometimes on Sunday night.
Let's just be honest, this is the Beltway. That's all it is.
Exactly.
There's nothing else going on here. Anyway, so the game, which you may have seen, hopefully you've seen it, and if you haven't, like I said, the link's down there. We'll be back. You can go watch right now, okay?
And that game was, as we say the best, a barn burner. I say the word barn burner. It
turned into one.
I'll quote JR here. It was a slobber knocker.
Fuck off. It was amazing. The Ducks jumped out to a lead at 3-1, and then we wound up with a lot of ties. It was tied at 3, 4, 5, 6.
Absolutely. And the Ducks got a 3-1 lead on a fortunate break when a goal that did not go in was called a goal. These things happen. It was a bang-bang play. The referee thought it went in, but replays will show, and we saw it clearly hit the post.
Yep.
Not go in. They were fortunate to have a 3-1 lead. Ducks were. Pravda, that again, I am a commissioner. They're a team that complains a little bit, and I'm not happy about that. But when they start losing, they will complain about calls.
You'll see it. Peter Galena came over to us and asked us to do something like we had any power in that game.
I need Pravda to be a true class champion and not complain as much. And play the game because mistakes are part of the game. They make mistakes. We all make mistakes out there. Most teams live with a Providence needs to do a better job of controlling their emotions.
Absolutely.
But luckily for Pravda, they were able to get a goal in, tie it up, and then basically we're able to. It goes back and forth.
It was back and forth, and we thought Pravda had pulled the win out. We thought they'd pull the win out, and then with 10.8 seconds left, one of the most
unbelievable plays.
Unbelievable turn of events there.
Player of the game, right?
Our player of the game, Chris, was able to get the shot just over Scott's glove. Yeah, Scott McCrory was working double duty. Sean Sampson worked double duty. They were dead at the end of the night. I think we can all pretty much agree on that.
Absolutely.
So they were just exhausted. It was unfortunate, but that's the way it stands right now. Ended.
Let's go back here with about 90 seconds to go in the game. Was tied at 6.
Yes, it was.
And then the loose ball in front of the net. I'm not sure who scored the goal, but Pravda was able to tap it into the empty net, and they took the lead with about 8 seconds to go. And we thought, wow, what a goal! Game-winning goal. Well, we were wrong on that one, weren't we?
You'll notice, by the way, that my partner in crime here, who's supposed to know every team name, being the commissioner and all, is getting their name wrong all night.
Well, they have a new change now, so they're not called the Evil Empire. It'll take time, to learn to call them Evil Empire. I'm going to call them E2, or Double E, I guess we want to call them that way. Or E Squared. How about E Squared? Would that be a good nickname, E Squared?
Just call them the Empire for crying out loud.
They were looking, they were actually going to win this game, but then an unbelievable goal by Chris. The Ducks win a great game. I'm not sure how he was left in the slot like that, but he was. And Providence is not known for their defense sometimes. And the guy was maybe a little too wide open that late in the game with the one goal.
Yeah. Now, to be honest, let's be a little fair here to Pravda. Okay. And when I say fair to them, what I'm talking. And we apologize for that. When you reach the 20-minute mark, this thing starts a new file. So that's why there seemed to be a little bit of a jump in the cut. Anyway, what I was going to say is, this is a team that was missing Sebastian Asaro tonight. They're missing Brad and Sean Rogers.
Brad and Sean are not part of this team, by the way.
They're not on this team right now.
Yeah,
Rogers brothers are not on this team.
This is their team minus basically Sebastian.
Yeah, and
I think last year they're loaded. I mean, I'm not going to give this
ever.
Peter G, Peter D. Nick was a goal scorer out there.
Tommy Bowser jumped on.
Scott and goal.
Sebastian. This is a team that's going to be scary.
This team is loaded. So I mean, I'm not gonna apologize for them not having Sebastian. This team should, not the City should have won, but they are the number one seed for a reason. So they
are anticipated.
It was a great game.
They'll probably win the season 8.5. I think probably going to be that way. And yes, we're calling it 8.5, by the way, because I personally do not acknowledge this as a full-on season. We don't have all the teams. We don't have everything we need, and we're playing in I mean, you'll see this gym is really small. It is kind of. It doesn't even feel like hockey, to be honest. It feels like arena league hockey. To sort of coin a term.
The gym is small, but it's been some gyms we have out there overall. I mean, it's a temporary season because we want to play this season, obviously. And we're going to go over to Sportsplex for the season, for the official season line, correct. This is actually what we call when you watch those TV shows, you have a lost episode? It's one of those lost episodes we have out there,
this whole season's
officially
lost.
It's not actually the episode long, but it'll be shown on TV. It'd be like, where did the episode come from? It's missing episodes.
This is DCHL, the director's cut, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
So.
Well, anyway, it was a great game, and Chris scored the tie goal. And with the new rules in place, because of the small venue, time limitations, we don't have overtime.
That's right.
Shootouts. The game ended in our first tie, 7-7 tie of this new season.
That's right. So, let's recap the standings right now.
Correct.
Going on the pro side, as I mentally try to do something, the Blue Barracudas take the top spot right now by virtue of having a better goal difference. We've got Cobra Kai in second, Evil Empire and Ducks tied for third and fourth. In fifth, the Funkmaster Redux, and in sixth, the NWO. But really, that's the funny thing about the NWO. They always seem to struggle in the regular season and turn it on in the playoffs.
That's correct.
They have staved off relegation 2 straight seasons for out of nowhere, really.
They're notoriously slow. They're like the San Diego Chargers of the NFL. They start slow, and they usually become a team late. And
wouldn't it be safer to say that that's any Norv Turner coached team, really? I mean, we put up with this for like a decade.
Absolutely. So, who's in first place? I think right now it's Todd because we don't go by goal differential, we go by goals allowed. Both Cobra Kai.
They did. They both allowed 3 goals.
3 goals. So it's right up tied for first place right now between Cobra Kai and the Blue Barracudas.
All right, now I don't know who's in which division, so you're going to have to help me out on this.
Okay. The Birds are in Division West.
All right, in the West Side.
West side.
We have the Afterburners, the Babylon Warriors, the Scabs, and I guess the Street Sharks then? Or is that...
Scabs and 2 Jacks, no Coke.
And 2 Jacks. All right.
So right now,
in the West
place,
Division,
believe it or not, is...
the Afterburners in first right now. Scabs are in... No, that's right. I keep forgetting. I keep going by goal difference. Scabs would be in first then. Afterburners in second.
Correct.
And then you have in third the Jacks, and in fourth Babylon Warriors.
That is correct.
Now, that said, Scabs and Burners are going to meet later this season, so that's going to be the way we decide it. Meanwhile, in the East...
In the East, round of division, correct.
In the East Division, you have the Majors on top.
That is correct.
I mean, we allow 2 goals.
Correct.
As I'm trying to think of this as I'm...
Triple League's lost, they're 0-1.
Then the Scorpions are in second.
Correct.
Then you would have the Sharks in third, allowing 4 goals to the 6 allowed by the Deeks.
That's correct. So the first place team and after one season, it's early, after 1 week, but the first place team right now in the East Division is 5 Minute Major. The first place team right now in the West are the Scabs. The Scabs.
How the hell does
first place?
And that's
hallelujah. Hell is frozen over.
Yeah.
10 times over.
And that has to do with the fact that they're not Scabs anymore, really.
No,
to be honest with you.
All kidding aside, they were a good team last year. They had some bad breaks, they had chemistry, and as I told them...
Well, bad break, the big difference was when John volunteered to be in goal for them. I'm going to say this right now. I mean, I have all the respect for Paul. I have all the respect for Monty, but with those 2 in goal, they were going to get lit up.
Yeah, especially with a new team like the Scab. New players like the Scab out there. John is set by the back end for them, which is a good thing. They actually have good players, and they're able to come. When they make the game, they're competitive out there.
Yep.
Their record wasn't as bad as people thought that they were. And,
well, they finished 1-8. It can't be much worse.
Yeah, but they were probably more like a 3-5 team, or maybe even a 4-5, maybe even a 3-6 team. But that's what I thought they were talent-wise. And this year they've got a couple of new players, and they'll be molded. I've not ranked third in the division, obviously over the Jacks. Because the Jacks are a free agent team, obviously. So they'll be okay. They'll be okay.
And if you think we're kidding about this is a stat that I actually quoted to the Scabs to let them know how far they've come along. Before John came in, before they started getting organized, started getting that in, they faced the Afterburners and the Ducks back to back. And we've already talked about how good the Afterburners are. We know that the Ducks, having won the division playoffs, having finished second in that division, you know how good they are. And they gave up 28 goals in a row against those 2 teams. And that's just a signal about, and honestly, I think it could have been worse, just speaking as an Afterburner, because we tried near the end to sort of pull back. We put the note out. A lot of our shooters stopped shooting. We tried to push the women up front. And
I'm sorry, talking about the Babylon Warriors here? What are you talking about here?
I'm talking about against Scabs last season.
Okay, got it. Understood.
We saw that we could name our score against them, so we tried not to really run it up too much.
We got to wrap this up real quick because we're almost dropping Andy off at his house here.
Yeah.
Okay, quickly here, as we talk about this, the team you're most impressed with?
Most impressed today, I guess I can't say I'm impressed with us, even though, putting up 12 is pretty impressive. In that case, I would say the team I was most impressed with is Cobra Kai.
Okay.
The way that they were able to play great counter-attacking hockey, they had a strategy, they stuck with it, they absorbed shots on defense, they powered forward. Mike was hitting everywhere he wanted to. That is a team that I think is going to be put a scare into the league. I don't know if they're going to win it, but they're going to be a factor.
Got it. Now, quickly here, I would say I'll go with the Ducks. The Ducks are not moved to the Pro Division. They are champions of the Red, but the Pro is different, and they went tooth and nail with the top seat in the Pro. So I was impressed with the tenacity of the Ducks. So I would go with them in this case.
All right.
Now, the team that you were probably least impressed with or surprised at how pro they played today.
Well, Babylon Warriors. Unfortunately, they just had no defense. We were able to carve them up. Greg was able to get his shots off, but he always does. But the bigger thing is that people like CJ and Bill were capable of just, getting the rebounds, getting in position. There was no real challenge in the crease, I thought.
Got it. You know what? If I had to go one way or the other, I would say, it's NWO probably a little bit because I know about their trouble scoring, but Michael Johnson was there today. I would say tie between NWO and the Street Sharks. I expected a little bit more about NWO in this case. The Street Sharks again were a top seed, and with all due respect to the Scabs, I thought the Street Sharks would be actually better today, and they just didn't come there with a A game early. Apparently, they fought back valiantly, but I would say probably NWO/Street Sharks would be by the team that are most disappointed today.
All right, we've been yakking for half an hour now. You know how things went today. We will be back in 2 weeks for Week 2 podcast and for Week 2 action, 24th of February. In the meantime, though, you'll be able to see us working at this general facility, actually, in Annandale, Virginia. We're going to be doing the Northern Virginia Hockey Championship game of the winter season. We don't know who's in it yet. The semifinals are on Wednesday 13th, so we'll be back Thursday, February 14th at 8 p.m. at the Jewish Community Center of Northern Virginia in Annandale. And we look forward to seeing you then. And until then, he's Suds. I'm Andy. It's been great talking to you.
See you in 2 weeks.
Will do.